Hi, welcome back to my garden. Today I'm super excited to show you our dahlia bed. And we grew all of these from seed this year, so I just thought I'd share kind of what we did and how we got to today. We started on April 5th and we sowed, I had like a 7 by 3 tray, um, and I got a pack of giant dahlia mix seeds from Johnny's. So we sowed them April 5th, and by April 12th, I think, they had all germinated. I had done like 2 seeds per cell just to kind of make sure that at least one of them would survive, but we ended up pretty much everyone survived. So by the 12th, we had germination, and then by about the 24th, we had like true leaves on them. So I moved them to the greenhouse, and it's unheated, so it's kind of like a cold frame. But I moved them to the greenhouse and then let them acclimate for about 1 more week. And then I think it was May 1st, I ended up um, basically, I like pricked out the extra of the dahlia per cell. So I took those out and put them in their own like little pots. And then the 21 main or 27 main dahlias that I ended up with, I ended up potting up into a 1 gallon size pot, and then I let them sit there for I think 2 weeks basically. And by that point, I checked the roots and they were starting to fill out the gallon pot, so they seem to be growing really vigorously already. And we had like an extra hot spring, like May, it hardly rained at all, and we had temperatures in the high 20s, which for us is kind of unseasonable. That's like 80 Fahrenheit. Anyway, so so they were growing super fast. So then once they had kind of filled in their pots and they were like rooting really well, I took those 27 and kind of set them up over here, and we ended up with kind of a mound. So it's like maybe a foot tall at the highest, maybe 18 inches. And it was kind of from a different project. We had to dig up the turf when we were doing like a mulching project somewhere else. So I took all those like squares of turf that I dug up and stacked them upside down, like grass facing down over here, and kind of just made like the platform. I think it was maybe 2 or 3 deep, so it was quite a bit. And when the grass breaks down, it's like super nutritious for the soil. So I think the dahlias have benefited from having all that. So yeah, so once I had stacked it all, I covered it with a little topsoil that we got, which was the same one that we used in our veggie bed mix. It's like mushroom compost, sand, and composted like wood mulch, basically. So did a layer of that, and then basically set everything up. We set it up like a nonagon, so it has 9 sides to it, just because it was like an easy number math wise. um, so I laid out all the dahlias, and then we also have 7 hostas that were just from plugs. This isn't their forever home, but I kind of wanted to put them somewhere to grow for a season before moving them eventually. And then we have the one cannabis in the middle too, just because it kind of needed a centerpiece, and the leaves are so like big and lush on this one. Yeah, so I set it all up, put them in the ground, kind of filled around where I had placed each dahlia so that they would be slightly mounded. I did plant it in a way that if we wanted to leave them in over winter, we can. In our area, it's mild enough that we can generally do that. And by mounding them up, it means that they'll never kind of be sitting in water if it gets really wet this winter. Anyway, we'll see what happens. But yes, I put them in the ground. I believe it was like May 16th. So and then they basically had like 6 weeks of growing, and they started blooming kind of end of June, beginning of July. And then it's just been building and building since. And they bloom super profusely. Like we're out here pretty much every day. I'll walk past and just do some deadheading because there's so many flowers. And I love the variation, and it's always covered in bees. Like I would say, even more than the other dahlias that we have from tuber. On these ones, like you can always see the center of the flower is always really visible. I don't know if this is visible from there, but there's like 2 bees on this one. I have a bunch of pictures that I'll put in too. But basically, it's always covered in bees. And even if you come out like first thing or late in the evening, there's always bees kind of napping everywhere. So that's super cute. So yeah, it's always a buzz. and we love it too. We love the variety. So we'll see what we decide to do with it at the end of the season. These ones are all edible as well, so we were thinking of trying maybe with the uglier ones, just trying to do a little like a I don't know, grated dahlia tuber that's like fried, kind of like a breakfast potato. So anyway, we'll see what happens. But also the flowers are edible too, so I want to use some of those in salad. And then the ones that we don't end up eating, based on the color, I have some ideas of where I'd maybe want to move them for next year or at the end of the season. And then as far as feeding them or anything like that, we don't do too much. Every other week, we'll put a little liquid fertilizer, and that's like a mix that we make here. So it's or in the beginning of the season, we gave them a little bit of like nettle feed that we made, and that one's higher nitrogen. And the only reason I gave them that was because we used wood mulch, and I was a little worried that that was going to leach all the nitrogen. And although they don't need like a ton, I wanted to make sure that they had enough. So we did, I think, 2 cycles of that, and now we give them a mix that's kind of higher potassium. So we've been using seaweed, but we've started making our own with horsetails as well. So that's what they're going to get next time. And it's just like every other week. It's pretty casual, and it's not very strong too. We dilute it quite a bit, but they seem really happy during the day when it's really sunny. Sometimes you'll see their leaves kind of wilt a little bit, but I think that's just their mechanism for staying healthy. Because then, as soon as the sun goes away, they all kind of pop back up. And we water it once a week because they have the tubers. They can actually store quite a bit of water, and because they've been in the ground for, you know, it was, I guess, 2 full months before it got really hot. They just seem to have like a good root system. The hostas, on the other hand, these ones were guacamole hostas, and they were rated for full sun, but I don't think they were rated for full sun with as dry as it's been, and also only being watered once a week with a lot of competition. So they're just kind of chugging along. The ones that are in the shadiest locations are doing the best. So I might end up giving them a little extra water. But for the dahlias, yeah, just like once a week, we'll give them some water, and they seem to just like be doing their thing. So I'll show you some close-ups of, yeah, just like the bees buzzing around and some of the prettiest blooms. I was also impressed with the variation, like how many different shades and tones, and some of the flowers almost look like they have like brushstrokes, and also that there were no white ones. I kind of expected there to be a few white ones. Anyway, thanks for joining me for today. I'll give you another update later in the season because I have a feeling it's going to just like keep getting bigger and better. But thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.